The easiest assigned pooling stitch is just to work garter into an existing area of your planned pooling color. So, simple enough. Here we are. Slip one, knit the edge. I have a marker here because I kept forgetting to do my yarn overs. You'd think I could work my own pattern. So once I have knit or purl, in this case I purled across the rainbow and it's there hanging out, all I'm going to do on the knit side is purl into that rainbow. If I was on the purl side, I would knit into the rainbow. And that gives me just this little tiny detail that creates a texture that is interesting, adds some interest to the rainbows and movement to the cowl. That's the easiest of the different stitches. The slip stitch pattern is one of my favorites. Let's see if I can find it right here. You slip a stitch and knit a stitch across, and it just does a tiny detail that is not super apparent but adds a lovely little visual texture. Slip a stitch, knit a stitch, slip, knit. I'm slipping all these purlwise. When I come back across, I'll just knit or purl, depending on what side I'm on. This stitch is the same front and back, slip, knit, or slip, purl. If my rainbows are stacking up, I'll try to slip my knit stitches and knit into my slip stitches, and that will make an even more fun texture as the rainbow appears, or the planned pooling appears. I guess not everybody will be using rainbow yarn. Another lovely and easy detail is to do yarn overs. So when you come upon your assigned pooling yarn, yarn over, knit two together, all the way across, yarn over, knit two together, making sure you start with a yarn over and end with a knit two together so that you don't accidentally decrease a stitch. When you come upon this rainbow the next time around, purling back across the other side, just purl or knit into it and you'll get let's see, there's one here somewhere. You'll get this lovely rainbow with just a little laciness. So this is the yarn over, knit two together. This is the slip stitch pattern and another yarn over, knit two together at the bottom there. So the elongated stitch makes this open wave pattern. It always looks like waves to me, I think, because it makes this sort of wavy shape. You're going to knit or purl depending on which side you're on. I'm on a purl side. So when I've started going into my planned pooling stitch, I'm going to wrap twice, just loosely, 3 times, 4 times. I'm just making 4 times. I'm just adding extra yarn to these stitches, and we'll work it out on the way back. 4 times again for this yarn. For your planned pooling yarn, it might have a different number of reps. 3, 2. So I wrapped those stitches. That's a plain purl. That's a purl with 2 wraps, a purl with 3 wraps, 4 wraps, 4 wraps, 3 wraps, 2 wraps, and now I'll purl across and pause and show you working into those wraps on the other side. So I'm coming back across to the elongated stitches where I wrapped. I'm going to knit into each one. This is 2. And let that extra wrap just drop off. And that makes each stitch longer. And it's hard to see at first. It looks like rubbish until we get one more row to help stabilize those stitches. And then it'll just be this little assigned pool pop. That's what makes it hard to see. So just knit into those stitches, dropping the extra wraps, treating each one as a single stitch, and you get elongated stitches. The pebble stitch is a wrapped or smocked stitch. We're going to work it on the right side and bring the yarn to the front. And some people like to work this with a cable needle. I don't, because it just gets in my way. I'm going to wrap it around 3 slipped stitches, slipping purlwise, wrap it around once, slip the stitches again, always purlwise, twice. Just sliding the stitches back and forth. Now I've got 3 wraps on that stitch. I'm going to slip the stitches to my right hand needle one more time and leave them. I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to wrap back to front. So I'm going to wrap it around the back, bring the yarn to the front, wrap, and again, bring the yarn to wrap it around the front 3 times. So I've got 2 wraps on here now. And that'll be 3. And I'm going to repeat that. So this one was back to front. Now I'm going to wrap front to back until I run out of pooling yarn. So I found with this particular yarn, I can get about 3 or 4 pebble stitches. 2, whoops. Wrap this one around to the front. Got a little more, so I'm going to do 1 more, and this one's going to wrap to the back first. When I work these stitches going across the other way, I'm just going to purl into them, and no one's going to notice the slip stitches because they're hidden under the pebbles, and it's going to make a nice clean wrap stitch. You can see right down here we have some nice pebble stitches. So there's 1 wrap on that. There's 2. Looks like this will end up with a little white on it. It's fine. There's its 3rd wrap. Slip those back to my right hand needle and keep going. And if we go back, you can see there are those pebble stitches with slip stitches, so we can just knit into those. If I ran into those again and I was doing the pebble pattern, I might just do a row of plain rainbow there, because I don't think I can slip into those stitches again and successfully have pebbles with double slip stitches. So lots of times you might need to make a choice just to keep your pattern consistent and the way you like it. Experiment, try things out. Courageously explore this pattern. That's what it was designed to do. Now we're going to work a couple of pebble stitches on the purl side of the work. I've come up on the rainbow, knit about 1 stitch into it. I'm going to slip 3 stitches purlwise, bring my yarn to the front, slip them back, and wrap. When you wrap on the knit side, it's easy to see that you've wrapped around 3 times. When you're wrapping on the purl side, you want to check. I've gone around 2 times. And now I've gone around 3 times, and then these stitches slide over, and I started out wrapping back to front on this one, so now I'm going to wrap front to back on the next one. And I've gone around the front 1 time. Two times. And 3 times. Right there. And then you repeat that until you've run out of your color work. So on this next one, because this here is my center stitch, I'm just going to wrap 2 stitches, purl my center stitch, and then continue making pebble stitches on the other side. I'll show you in just a minute. So here you can see I've gone through pebble stitch, pebble stitch, pebble stitch, center stitch right there, and 1 more pebble stitch on the other side. It's going to just go across the middle and maintain that spine. So next we're going to look at the flower petal or flame stitch. It's a dip stitch pattern. I'm going to knit a couple of stitches into the rainbow. You're going to need to experiment with how long your assigned pooling is and how to best sit the dip stitch in this one. So for this assigned pooling with the rainbow shorties from Always Be Kind Yarn, if I knit in about 3 stitches, I probably will end up with a pretty balanced rainbow. So I'm going to go down from this stitch, not my working stitch, the one below, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to knit into that bottom stitch, wrapping my yarn and pulling it through the bottom and really giving it a lot of space. And I'm going to go up 1 and do that again, really giving a lot of space. 3. At this point I should be approximately halfway through my assigned pooling, and it looks like I'm pretty close. 4, 5, 6. I'm not quite as close as I want to be. I still have a lot of purple left here, so I'm going to go back and do 1 more stitch before I do my assigned pooling. See if that balances it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give it. Oh, this is going to be better. I can see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have these rainbow stitches in order. I'm going to go to the back one, the first dip stitch, and lift it up and over my last stitch, and then the next one, up and over, third, come on, fourth, oh, they're not wanting to go, and fifth, and I've made this wonderful rainbow little flower petal or candle flame, whatever you want to think about. It's got a couple stitches of color on either side that balances it out. And that's the way you do that. I recommend doing this stitch on the right side only and just purling through the rainbow on the purl side. It will be so much easier. And you'll end up with some really nice contrast between doing the dip stitch and just the plain knit rainbow.